thought I could control it. I thought it was just a moment, a whisper on a dock, a stolen glance on a boat. But when my husband left the house and his boss invited me for a quiet paddle, I didn't know I'd end up in the middle of a storm I couldn't escape. He saw me, really saw me, and made me feel something I hadn't felt in years. I told myself I wouldn't fall. But what he did next I never saw coming. Now I can't sleep, I can't breathe, and I can't stop thinking about the one man I should never want. I never imagined that a quiet weekend away could change so much. It all started with a simple dinner conversation. My husband, Jonathan, was talking about his boss, Mr. Cole Whitman. Tall, confident, always impeccably dressed. I had met him once at a company event and remembered the way he shook my hand, a little too firm, a little too long, and the way his eyes lingered just a second more than they should have. Mr. Whitman invited us to his lake house for the weekend, Jonathan said casually, sipping his coffee. I blinked. Us. Yeah. Just a few of us from the team. It's kind of a retreat. Wives included. A retreat. In a private lake house. With Jonathan's boss, who made me feel nervous in the most unexpected way. I nodded slowly and smiled, not quite sure why I felt this odd flutter in my stomach. By Friday we were driving up the winding road that led to the lake. The house was massive, built from warm-toned wood stone accents and wide glass windows overlooking the water. It felt straight out of a luxury catalog. I couldn't help but stare as we pulled into the gravel driveway. Mr. Whitman, Cole as he insisted I call him, was already there, standing outside with a drink in his hand, wearing khaki shorts and a button-down shirt slightly unbuttoned. The moment his eyes met mine, something flickered in them, something curious, something intense. "Welcome," he said, his voice smooth, almost too perfect. "You must be Madison." I smiled, tucking a strand of hair behind my ear. "That's me. Thanks for having us." His eyes dropped for just a breath, barely noticeable, but I felt it. The weight of his gaze. Not inappropriate. Not exactly. But undeniably aware. The first evening passed with laughter and drinks by the fire pit. A few other coworkers had come, but it was a small, intimate group. I sat beside Jonathan, listening to stories and sipping a glass of wine. Cole sat across from me, his legs casually stretched out, his hand loosely holding a whiskey glass. He laughed often, but his eyes kept finding mine. At one point, when Jonathan went to the kitchen for more drinks, Cole leaned over and said quietly, "You're more stunning in the firelight than I remembered." I felt heat rise to my cheeks and I laughed softly, brushing it off. Must be the wine. But deep down I felt something spark. A quiet thrill I hadn't expected. That night, while Jonathan slept beside me in the guest bedroom, I stared at the ceiling, trying to make sense of the strange, tingling tension. I wasn't imagining it. Cole had been watching me. He had barely looked at the other women there. And I wasn't entirely innocent either. I noticed the way he carried himself, the way his shirt clung to his chest, the way he moved, like he knew the effect he had. The next morning we woke early. Jonathan and the others were planning a hike. I had a slight headache and excused myself from the adventure. Cole stayed back too. "I'll be around the dock if you feel like joining," he said as Jonathan kissed my forehead and left. I stood in the kitchen, sipping coffee in my cotton robe, staring at the lake through the glass doors. The sunlight danced on the water and I could see Cole, shirtless now, standing at the edge of the dock. My breath caught. He looked like something from a movie. Broad shoulders, sculpted arms, relaxed posture as if he owned the world. I hesitated, then I changed. I wore a casual fitted tank top, some light shorts, and let my hair fall loose. I wasn't trying to impress anyone. Or maybe I was. When I reached the dock, he turned and smiled. "Didn't think you'd come down. Thought I'd get some fresh air." He offered me a mimosa. I accepted it. We sat side by side, legs dangling over the dock. "You know," he said after a while, "I've been meaning to talk to you. Jonathan's a great guy." "He is," I agreed, glancing at him. "But sometimes," he continued, swirling his drink, "a man's greatest strength is the woman standing behind him." His voice was low, almost intimate. I laughed nervously. "Is that your way of complimenting me?" "Maybe. Is it working?" I looked out at the lake, trying not to smile. "I'm not sure yet." The air between us was thick with something unspoken. We talked for a while, about life, marriage, dreams we hadn't followed. And in those moments I began to feel something shift. I wasn't just Jonathan's wife. I was a woman. A woman being seen. Really seen. Later that afternoon, while everyone returned from the hike, Cole suggested a boat ride. Just the two of us. He said it would be quick, just to check the far side of the lake where he liked to fish. I said yes before I even realized it. The boat glided across the calm water, wind in my hair, the sun warm on my skin. Cole sat close, his thigh brushing mine. "You're different from most people I know," he said. "Different how?" "You feel things. You're not just pretending to go through the motions." His words struck something deep inside me. I looked at him, and in that moment I knew. This wasn't just harmless flirting anymore. This was a slow-burning match. The boat slowed near a quiet cove. Trees shaded the water and the world felt far away. Cole turned toward me, his expression softer now. "I shouldn't say this," he murmured, "but I think about you more than I should." I didn't answer. I couldn't. My heart pounded, my breath shallow. He didn't move any closer. He didn't touch me. But the air between us was electric. Eventually we returned to the dock, acting as if nothing had happened. But everything had. The unspoken tension. The lingering glances. The way my hand had almost brushed his when I stepped off the boat. That night the group had dinner on the patio. Candles flickered, wine flowed, and laughter filled the space. But beneath it all I was distracted. I felt Cole's presence behind me like a current. Every time he laughed, every time he said my name, something twisted in me. After dessert I slipped away and went down to the lake. The night air was cool against my skin. I stood there quietly, watching the moonlight ripple on the surface. Then I heard footsteps. I turned. It was Cole. "You disappeared," he said. "I needed air." He stepped closer. "Me too." We stood in silence. The space between us so small, so charged. Then his hand brushed mine. Barely a touch. My heart raced. But I didn't pull away. "You have no idea what you're doing to me," he whispered. "I think I do," I whispered back. And just like that, we both knew the line had been crossed. He didn't kiss me. He didn't touch me more than that soft brush of fingers. But the energy between us had shifted. There was no turning back now. When I returned to the house, Jonathan was asleep. I climbed into bed beside him, my heart pounding, my body still warm from the way Cole had looked at me. I lay there, staring into the darkness, knowing that something had awakened inside me, something I hadn't felt in years. And the weekend wasn't over yet. The next morning I woke up earlier than usual. Jonathan was still asleep, snoring softly beside me, oblivious to the chaos brewing in my chest. I quietly slipped out of bed and padded down the hallway, wearing one of my favorite summer robes, silky, short, and just enough to catch a glance but not raise suspicion. I didn't even know where I was going. Maybe I just needed space, clarity, a breath of something real. I wandered out to the balcony overlooking the lake, wrapping my arms around myself as the cool morning breeze kissed my skin. "Couldn't sleep either?" came a voice from behind me. I turned slowly. Cole stood there in gray joggers and a plain white tee, barefoot, a cup of coffee in hand. He looked impossibly relaxed. And yet there was tension in his gaze, something simmering just beneath the surface. I shook my head, offering a small smile. "Too many thoughts." "Same." He stepped beside me and offered his mug. "Want a sip?" I hesitated, then took it. The warmth of the cup, the feel of his fingers grazing mine as I did. It felt oddly more intimate than a kiss. More dangerous. We stood there for a while, not saying much, just looking out at the stillness of the lake. And in that silence I felt it again, that subtle shift. That magnetic pull between us that neither of us dared act on but both of us felt in our bones. "You free this afternoon?" he asked suddenly, his voice barely above a whisper. I blinked. "I think so." "Why?" He looked at me, his expression unreadable. "I thought we could take the canoe out. Just a quiet paddle. There's a spot I want to show you. It's peaceful. I think you'll love it." I swallowed. My heart skipped. "I'll find a way," I said softly. And I did. By noon, the others had planned a little drive into town for ice cream and souvenirs. Jonathan asked if I wanted to come, but I told him I had a headache and needed rest. He kissed my cheek and said he'd bring me something sweet. I smiled, and felt a pang of guilt deep in my stomach. When they left, Cole appeared like a shadow, quiet and composed. He led me down to the canoe, already packed with cold drinks and a soft blanket. The paddle was slow, easy, calming. We didn't talk much at first. Just drifted past trees and birds and reeds swaying with the wind. Eventually, we reached a small clearing where the lake curved inward like a private pocket of the world. The water sparkled beneath the sun, and the trees cast shade over the shore. Cole guided the canoe to a smooth flat rock. He helped me out, his hand firm around mine. We spread the blanket and sat down, sipping cold lemonade, toes dipping into the water. "Ever wonder what your life would look like if you'd made one different decision?" he asked suddenly. I turned to him, surprised. "Sometimes. But I think I've learned to be content." "But not happy?" he asked, tilting his head. I hesitated. Is stable." He nodded slowly. "I know that feeling. You smile because you should. You laugh at the right moments. But deep down you wonder, is this all?" His words hit a nerve. I looked away, blinking fast. "I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable," he said gently. "You didn't," I whispered. "You just saw me. That's rare." He turned to me, his eyes soft. "Madison." I looked at him. He leaned forward, slowly, so close that I could feel his breath, taste the unspoken question between us. And then he stopped. He didn't kiss me, but his forehead touched mine and we both exhaled at the same time. "You deserve to feel again," he murmured. "Not just exist." My hands trembled. I didn't trust myself to speak. After a long moment we pulled away. We stayed by the lake until the shadows grew long. When we returned, no one asked where we'd been. I slipped back to the guest room and freshened up. Jonathan handed me a chocolate-dipped cone when he returned, completely unaware of what was unraveling inside me. That night, dinner was quiet. The others were tired. I sat beside Jonathan, smiling, pretending. But I kept feeling Cole's eyes on me. Watching. Waiting. After everyone turned in, I walked out onto the back deck, needing space. Cole was already there, seated in the shadows, drink in hand. "You okay?" he asked gently. I nodded. "I don't know how to feel." He stood, walked over slowly, then stopped a few feet away. "I won't ever push you," he said. "But I can't lie either. Being near you, it's waking up parts of me I thought were dead." My throat tightened. "Cole." He stepped just a little closer. "I want you to know something," he said. "You are not invisible. Not to me. Every laugh, every sigh, every glance. You light up a room and don't even realize it." I felt tears sting the corners of my eyes. Not because of what he said, but because I'd needed to hear it for so long. Then he did something unexpected. He took off his hoodie and gently placed it around my shoulders. "Good night, Madison," he said. And he walked away. That night I slept wrapped in his scent. My heart pounding. My soul stirring. The next morning things felt different. He was quieter, more distant. I felt it immediately. He was guarding himself now. Protecting me, maybe protecting both of us. I tried to focus on Jonathan, on the group, on breakfast and laughter and normalcy. But something had been set in motion and there was no undoing it. That afternoon, while the others played cards, I found Cole outside, alone by the grill. "Why are you avoiding me?" I asked. He looked at me, startled. Then he gave a small smile. "Because if I don't, I might not stop myself next time." I took a slow breath. "What if I don't want you to stop?" Silence. Then he said quietly, "That's the part that scares me most." Later, when Jonathan and the others left to run errands in town, Cole asked if I wanted to walk down to the cove one last time. We were leaving in the morning. It was our final night. I went. The path was quiet, the wind rustling leaves above. At the cove we sat on the same blanket. This time when our hands brushed, we didn't pull away. This time when he leaned in, I didn't stop him. His lips barely touched mine, just a whisper of a kiss. A confession in silence. And yet it felt louder than anything I'd heard in years. We didn't cross any lines. But we stood right at the edge, and looked down at the fire burning below. That night, back in bed with my husband, I lay still, eyes wide open. The trip was over. But the feelings were not.